Right, we're going to have another little go with the DJI Avata 2 and the DJI Neo. To give a bit of a comparison, they're both being flown with the DJI Goggles N3 and the Motion Controller 3. So this first clip that you see here is with the DJI Avata 2. This is video from the drone itself, and hopefully this will show you how smooth this particular drone is, and of course how fast it is compared to the Neo. I love the Avata 2, but I also love the Neo. The Avata 2, as you can see, can cover a lot more ground, is quite a bit smoother. It can handle wind a lot better, although on this particular day there was only a small amount of wind. I would imagine there was about 5 or 6 miles an hour wind. And if you look at the distance it will travel, this is the video, the 4K video from the drone. So there is no HUD information for you, but it's better quality video, and you can see how smooth it is and how far it will fly. Apologies for the same soundtrack, but fine. Trying to find music where you don't get copyrighted is very, very difficult, even if the music comes from a piece of software that you're using, which in my case is iMovie Maker, which is inbuilt into an iPad and an iPhone. I'm actually editing this on an iPad. Anyway, back to the drone. So of course we've got a lot of sun over to our left. This is quite early in the morning. I must admit the Avata 2 does fill you with confidence as you're flying it. The only thing of course is with the drone and the single battery you have, you've got the best part of £500 up in the air, or $700 odd. So you do feel it's a little bit expensive. You don't want to lose it. But then having the DJI Neo has helped me get more adventurous with my flying, and that's sort of moved over to the Avata 2. So this is the UK in early morning in mid-January. And I've still got an awful cough and a cold. It really truly is so intuitive and easy to fly with the Motion Controller 3. Of course you can use either the Goggles 3, which are expensive, or the Goggles N3 that were recently brought out by DJI, which are not so expensive and I find a lot better. Many people like the Goggles N3 better, and of course some prefer the Goggles 3. I'm very much a Goggles N3 fellow. They're bigger and so on, but I just see so much better in them. And in this flight that you're seeing, there was not a single bit of break up in my vision in the goggles whatsoever. Again, diving down a bit now. I don't get too low, because again, as I say, I'm not at the stage yet where I want to risk my Avata 2. Banking nicely. This is so much fun. I've got many camera drones. I've got the DJI Air 3S, the Air 2. I've got Mavic Mini 3, DJI Mini 3 Pro, Mini 4 Pro, as I say, 3 Neos, but so mainly I flew camera drones, but now flying these FPV drones is incredible. I had the Avata 2 for a long while, and to be honest with you, I was quite scared to fly it. But with the motion controller, there's no reason to be scared. Well, unless you do crazy things. What am I doing now? I'm descending using the joysticks. And what I'm doing here is I'm dibbling around because I've got a lot of trees and twigs in my garden, and I'm trying to work out how best to land the blinking thing. So I'm trying to hover over the table now. And now I'm taking off again. I think this is still with the Avata 2. I'll be able to tell by how smooth the flight is. Yeah, this is the Avata 2. So it shows you that not only can it do distance flying, but it can do very small near to flying. I'm being more careful here again because it's the Avata 2 and I don't want to break it. If I was flying this same course as you've seen many times with my Neo, I don't worry so much, because although I don't want to break the Neo, it's a much cheaper drone and I have got 3 of them, which I didn't intend to buy, but it was the various combos and how they were brought out by DJI. My garden is quite restricted, to be honest, to fly, but you need a semi-restricted place to enjoy FPV, but not too restricted, else you break your equipment. Although the Avata 2 and the Neo are particularly robust, I did have quite a hard crash the other day with the Neo, and it did knock the gimbal completely out of its housing. But with the lollipop stick and studying my other Neo, I managed to fix it perfectly. And you'll see some flight from that fixed Neo very shortly. So again, this is all with the Avata 2. You can see by the shadow actually that you occasionally see that is the Avata 2. Motion controller 3 and goggles N3 combo. Sorry for that, but blinking winter colds. A little bit later on, in this video, I get the Neo out. I didn't do it with the Avata, but you can do it with the Avata. I get the Neo out and practice for the first time some of the easy Acro manoeuvres, which I think I do the flip. Not the flip, I think it is the flip. Get muddled up with the DJI flip. Don't buy that, that's an awful drone, I think. But I do the flip and the slide, which I've never tried before, but they're again very easy. But this Avata 2 is absolutely silky smooth with the motion controller 3. I don't really use I have got the FPV controller, which is the conventional stick controller for FPV, but I don't get on with it. I'm far better with the motion controller, which is curious because for years I flew radar controlled planes and jets and all sorts of things, of course with a stick controller, but in those days we never had anything such as the motion controller. But it's so much easier, and they brought the Avata 2 and things out with that motion controller, knowing that that would be better for beginners, but of course people really believed them, but it certainly is. So again, in the earlier video you saw how the Avata can do long flights, much bigger flights and much higher, but it can also do smaller, closer in flights. It is all set, I think, to sports mode. With the motion controller 3 you can't go above sports mode, but to be honest, to me that is fast enough. And it gives you, it's a nice speed for your reactions, I feel. Right, where are we going to go now? Oh, we're going to have a little doodle over the car and motorhome. No indoors loves the motorhome. Slowly ascending, making sure I'm not going to hit any stick, because there's a lot. Look, there's a load. I'm going to get high enough here just in case there's a car in the track. Pretty unlikely, but as long as I'm higher than my van, there won't be a car going higher than that. This is all private road. There we go, again, mind the sticks. Don't hit anything. Right, we're continuing on with the Avata flight. I had gotten a muddle with the editing there with the soundtrack, but hopefully that'll be okay. Did about 9 minutes of voiceover and I thought I'd lost it, but I haven't. That's my little Dalek on the right. That's the controller for our mini sewage treatment plant. I'm sure you want to know that. So yeah, a bit more smooth flight with the Avata. And now to land it, and now I'm pretty certain that this is the DJI Neo, where we're going to do a practice a few things. Again, I'll know by how smooth the footage looks if this is the Neo. I'm not sure, yes, I'm pretty certain this is the Neo. And I'm sort of flying it a little bit more recklessly, if reckless is the right word, because it is the Neo, and very robust and repairable. I haven't crashed the Avata 2 yet, thank goodness, but I have the Neo, and this is the Neo that I hit a twig at high level and it fell quite hard onto my decking and knocked the gimbal. I said earlier it knocked it completely out of the housing. It didn't. It knocked its gimbal structure from the housing of the drone, which is just the frame, and pushed it forward several millimeters, and it was really not working at all well. The software was putting up every error out, but what I actually found is it was just, if you looked into the housing, and I compared it with one of my other Neos, and I could see what had happened. There's a clip at the top and it had bashed it all forward, and I just got a lollipop stick, fashioned a little shape on the end of the lollipop stick, pushed it back, it clicked into place, switched it on, and worked perfectly. Of course, I posted this on the DJI forum, and DJI said, oh, you really should send it in for a repair. Well, you're not going to send a Neo in for a repair, are you? The drone's only about 160 quid. You know, by the time you'd sent it away, waited, and got your report and so on, it would be more, or be such an amount of money that you wouldn't want to do that. So you can see that, you know, it is flying the same course that we did with the Avata 2, but you can see how much slower it is. This is in sports mode, and I am at full throttle in the Neo. But as I say, the Neo's a different thing. It's still a lovely drone, and you can have great fun with it, but you just fly closer in, basically. There we go in here, being a bit adventurous with it. Again, with this flight, I never once had any break-up in the heads-up display, which is good, because if you were doing this with a analog drone and headset, you would have had crackles and break-ups and everything. Well, of course, this DJI equipment, their FPV equipment, is digital. That makes a big difference. Well, I've got a sore throat, so I'm just going to have a drink of water. I'm actually making this video from our hotel. We've had to go away for a little while, well, only a day, so we'll be back shortly for work. So where am I going here? I'm going to have a little fly down the track. I wouldn't mind all that power stuff. Look, those power cables and goodness knows what. So this is still good, but this is full throttle with it in sports mode, and of course I am against a little bit of a wind, but you can see that this is a slow drone for big flights. This isn't a huge flight, it's only 100 or so yards from my home point, but 100 and odd. But it's very different to the Neo. If you want something to take to an area where there's just a little bit of distance to fly, but some fun obstacles, the Neo is certainly the drone. And as I said, you don't need to worry about it if you break it. Well, you do, but not as much as the Avata. Diving down now and having a little spin around. In a moment, I practice some of the easy Acro, which I haven't done before. It's just a setting that you set in the heads-up display, and then it tells you what to do, and you click a button and it does the little manoeuvre. It's nothing that you do, use your skill. This is always tricky coming in here through those sticks, because at that point there's also our swimming pool, which, although it's covered at the moment, is full of water on the top, and you wouldn't want to plop your drone into that, I can assure you. But you can see that this is, compared with the previous flight, not nearly as smooth as the Avata, but that's probably me. I'm sure you could fly a lot smoother than this. Where are we going now? At some point I try and fly under a very low table, but I got so low that the that the Neo decided that was near the ground and would land, which it did. in the long grass, but even though it was incredible long grass, and there must have been grass in the propeller, oh, I haven't been that way, but oh, that's where I crashed. But there's me testing a flip. So that's just a stationary flip. So that was, I don't know what direction that was, but we'll do another one in a moment. Yep, so that's a flip to the right, I think. That's one to the left. You can't do this in sports mode though, you have to switch that to normal mode to do that. So just experiment again with the flip. I have got some twigs quite close to me there, so that was a little bit hairy really, but didn't realise that. So now what are we going to do? No idea if I'm honest. I reckon I'm faffing with the controls inside my HUD. I was there indoors watching a flip. Well, she was there watching the flip. Now we're just having a normal little bit of a fly around with it. Again, this is the Neo, which was the one where the camera was knocked for 6 in a previous quite hard crash. I've had probably 10 small crashes and it's never done any damage at all. But that crash where it knocked the camera sort of in, and there's some more flip testing. Oh, that was a flip on the move. Of course, I haven't got far to travel, but you to use it here in this garden. But you can be going along and then do the flip, which is what I was doing there. Not that you could see it well. What am I doing? I was wondering if I could go under that table, but it's just too low that the drone thinks it's got to land. Oh, mind the frog. Try another flip. Yep, that's a flip. Oh, mind those sticks. And you can see that crystal clear in your goggles when you're flying this, so you know when to stop. And I think the algorithm somehow lets you, you can react just right. So what am I going to do now? I reckon I'm going to try a flip with a bit more space. Yep, isn't very fast actually. In normal mode like this, doing a flip, but it's still effective. In a moment, I think I'll try a slide. You'll see what that does. Slide is quite nice and quite effective actually. What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. Turning around, probably thinking, go on, try a slide. Right, this I think is where I do a slide. So you're going forward with the Easy Acro set to slide, and you click it the one way or the other and it does that. So it sort of does a slidey turn round. Nice if it would do it in sport mode. I don't know what the bar is. So there's another slide. Come on, are we going to do another one? Yep, there's another slide. That's interesting how it does that. I'll try that with the Avata too, because that'll be a lot quicker and a lot more sort of interesting. Bit of Acro. I can't do Acro as a pilot, I haven't got a clue. But this is all pre-programmed Acro within the software of the Neo or the Avata 2, this being the Neo. Right, what are we trying? I think I'm trying to do some forward flips now, which it does seem to have, but that couldn't get that to work, so I've got to look into that. But this is my first attempt at Easy Acro. Now we've got, which is why I tried to fly under the bench and it landed, but look, it was in all of that long grass and it did take off. So that really did quite amaze me. Mind the bird feeder. That really did quite amaze me, that did it took off from there. I'd have thought the propellers would have been snagged in the grass, but of course it's got prop guards that you clip on the top and also underneath, which are fixed, and perhaps there was no grass going up into the propeller. Right, there we go. Thanks for watching.